What's so scary about? Well, maybe I think maybe. What if you're looking at disappointing yourself instead of looking? Because like I think if you're scared of if you look at it from the perspective of you're scared to disappoint yourself, then you're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Failing isn't such a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Because you learn from it. So if you turn it into like, well, I'm gonna fail, but at least it's a learning experience. It's a little different than I'm scared of disappointing myself.
Yeah. I've been dealing with a lot of stress lately and a lot of trauma. And I just wanted to sit down and talk to you for a little bit because you don't know too much about me. And that's not a you thing. That's a me thing. I don't let a lot of people inside, and I'm very walled up. And you can probably say that it's my childhood, and it most likely is, but I don't want to use that as an excuse to stay walled up and to stay closed and to feel like a mystery, to be a mystery to a lot of people, including you. So I just wanted to talk for a bit, just about life right now, just about how crazy it's been, about how so many things are crashing down at the same time. It almost feels impossible that I am living in reality. It feels like at any moment I could wake up from a dream. I don't know. Last week I experienced something that I would never forget. And I want to keep the details vague and brief because it's just out of respect to the people involved, but I witnessed the outcome of an accident that happened just at the corner of my house, and there are images that are seared into my brain that I'll never be able to forget, and there are emotions that are seared into my heart that I'll never be able to unfeel. And then a few days later I experienced something very heartbreaking at home, and it's just like at this point, what do you do? What do I do? On July 19th I dissociated very, very, very hard. I thought everybody was an alien. I thought these aliens were playing either a huge prank on me or I was part of some reality TV show in which they took my family and they just watched us. And everybody in my life, including my friends and my girlfriend, they were all staged actors. And they were all being paid to facilitate this madness. It was Friday night. Oh, not Friday. It was Sunday night when some kerfuffling happened in the house. And I wasn't there. I didn't experience what happened. I don't know what happened exactly. I only know what I was told. It really hit me that night. Everything really hit me. The accident, the kerfuffle at home really hit me. And I was talking to Jennifer in my room, and it was around 9 o'clock, I think. I remember sitting down on this little chair across from the bed, and Jennifer was sitting on the bed, and we were talking to each other, when all of a sudden I felt really, really disconnected from everything in my room. So I would look at some books, or I would look at my salt lamp, or I would look at some pens and paper, and I just didn't understand why I had so many things. It made no sense to me why I owned so many things, and it actually frustrated me, and it really upset me that I put so much value on material things, even though they are valuable. And so I started thinking about money, and I started thinking about how meaningless it is, and I started to look around the room, and everything in the room upset me. And I remember thinking, why do I own so many things, even though I actually don't really own a lot of things? I started to go on this rant about money to Jennifer, and the whole thesis, the whole idea was that nothing really matters. Money does not matter, and it sucks that we put so much value on money to survive. And it frustrated me that we used money to make us happy sometimes. And just money itself just frustrated me. You know, capitalism is just very frustrating. Jennifer told me to feel my senses and to touch my fingers and to feel my clothes and to breathe and to pay attention to my breathing. But when I was touching my hands and I was feeling my fingers, it didn't feel like mine. I looked at them and they felt like they weren't my hands. I would look at my hands and I'd say, I know these are my hands, but why does it not feel like my hands? And then I sat down. This was all happening in my head, but I started to think that everybody was an alien. And I started thinking, this must be a huge prank. This can't be real. There's so much going on that it just can't possibly be real. Why is this all happening? What is going on? Why is this happening to me? What am I supposed to get out of this right now? That's right. The aliens are playing a prank on me. And I remember looking outside my window, and it was around 9 o'clock, so it was already pretty dark by then. And I remember zoning out and looking outside my window, and I was waiting for the blackness of the nighttime to lift and for it to reveal a crowd of green aliens. And they're watching me like a show, and they're my audience. I sort of thought of it as like the Truman Show with Jim Carrey. I thought, oh my God, this whole time my life is the Truman Show, and all these people, my friends, my girlfriend, they're all staged. They're all in my life, and they were all put there by producers and directors and stuff, and all this crap is happening to me because it's hilarious, because it's so funny for the aliens to watch me suffering right now and to watch my entire family suffering right now. And I remember looking at Jennifer and thinking, there's no way that you're a real person. There's no way you're actually in my life right now, and you're here for me, and there's absolutely no way. This is on purpose. You being here right now, like, you are really liking how much I'm suffering. I remember looking at her, and in my head, she looked like she was smirking at me. Like, there was a very devious smile. Like, it was almost sadistic, like I said. It's because, to me, it sounded like, it looked like, and it sounded like, and it felt like she was enjoying me going crazy, and my mind just running rampant with all of these crazy ideas, and it was really out of this world, honestly. And then I remember looking around the room, and I was trying to ground myself, and I was looking around, and I just could not stop thinking about it. And this was happening for about 5 minutes, until eventually Jennifer reached out her hand to me, and I was very reluctant to grab it. But the moment that I grabbed it, it brought me back. It brought me back to reality. I remembered that I exist, and that I exist because I exist. I just remembered that I existed, and it felt real again. The moment that I touched her hand, I just broke down. And I started crying, and I started crying in her arms, and I was sobbing, and my chest was tightening, and I just felt so sad, and I felt so hopeless, and I felt so heartbroken at the same time. And I didn't know what to do, obviously, so I just kept crying, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she gave me a kiss on the forehead, and then I just kept staring at the ceiling, and I was just crying the whole time, until my dog came inside the room. I escorted my dog to his bed on the floor, and so I sat there on the hardwood floor, and I didn't say anything for a while, and it was just quiet, and I told Jennifer what was happening, and she said, yeah, I know, I could see it. I could see in your eyes, and I started to get scared. I told her that nothing matters to me. And it's just so sad that what really actually does matter to me most are my relationships with people, my friends, my family, and who I am. What really matters to me the most is what's in my heart, not all these things that are surrounded by me, or my job, or what people think of me. And it just broke my heart, because I felt like I wasn't nurturing my friendships and my relationships enough. And I could be doing more. And I was just so sad that I've been so distracted by so many things that I stopped really paying attention to what really gives my life so much meaning, which is the people that I love. And so I was saying to Jennifer, nothing matters, nothing matters. Jennifer asked me, well, I'm sure that's not true. What are some things that you do value? What are some things that really do matter to you? What do you care about? And so I listed people. I listed Jennifer, I listed my dog, listed my parents, my brothers, my friends. I listed the pursuit of truly knowing myself and who I am, and living as meaningfully as I can. And that's really it. That's all that matters to me. That's all I care about. The next day I woke up really early because I procrastinated on making a video, and I was editing my video, but I felt fine. I felt very light, like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. And for some reason, I felt a greater sense of empathy and a greater sense of self when I was alive the next day, when I was existing in my now, in my reality the next day. For whatever reason, it was easier for me to understand how someone was feeling. It was easier for me to relate to how somebody was feeling. It was easier, and it has been easier for me to be patient with people, because it can be very frustrating. It can get very frustrating to understand somebody that is really difficult to understand. Oops, my bad. I kicked it and now it won't stop wobbling. Because it can be very frustrating to try to understand somebody who is so complex, because as humans, we're just incredibly complex and it takes years to really get to know somebody. I find myself sometimes being a little frustrated with that effort because I have commitment issues and I've never really taken the time to open up to a friend and deepen a connection with somebody until I met Jennifer, who pointed that out and called me out on it. Makes me sweaty just thinking about it. I feel happier, but I also have moments where I dissociate again, where I look at my hands and I feel them and I touch myself and I look around the room and it still feels like sometimes for a brief moment that I'm not in reality, that there's no possible way that I'm alive right now. And for all I know, I could just be a brain in a vat. I could just be in a simulation. I don't feel like that right now, but there's some techniques that my therapist taught me to ground myself, which is what Jennifer told me to do, basically, which was to feel my fingers, to chew some minty gum or some spicy gum so I could feel that sense, to touch my clothes and to touch what's around me and describe the feeling that I'm feeling, to look around and describe the room. And these are things that keep me back, to keep me rooted in reality. I also have to do a bedtime ritual now, so bedtime's like at 11. I have to shower right before bed, take a melatonin, no screens 2 hours before. And these are just some things that will help with coping with the stress that I'm going through. Apparently what I went through was a depersonalization, and I'm not a therapist and I have no knowledge of psychology, so I'm not going to tell you what that is. But if at any point you felt like you were feeling something that I was feeling, if at any point you felt like you related to this, if at any point you feel like this feels familiar to you, you could talk to me about it. You could talk to me about it. You could talk to somebody else about it. You can do a little bit of research, but not too much, because I know sometimes a little bit of too much research kind of freaks you out. Freaks me out. But I'm here for you. I am. And I'm doing my best to be a little bit more open with myself and to talk about my life a little bit more, even if it's virtually, digitally. Putting this out into the world is a new thing, and it's a scary thing, but it's something that I'm willing to do. Yeah, life is freaking crazy. You're definitely not alone. You're not alone. And I want you to know that every step of the way, I will do my best to be here with you. No promises, though, because I'm also suffering. But at least you know that you have somebody to fall back on, and that's me. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I think I had some things that I wanted to say, but I don't remember. My bedtime is now 11 p.m., so I won't answer any text messages after 9 o'clock, but you can call me, and it doesn't have to be an emergency. You can call me whenever you feel like it. I'll talk to you later. I hope you're okay, and I love you. Bye. Down. I love it when the washing machine drains all the water away. Drains all the water away. So it's still draining. It's taking a long time. I've had this laundry machine and this dryer since, I don't know, because I didn't buy it. My parents own it. I still live with my parents, by the way, and I'm 24. And in some ways, it makes me feel bad because I know a lot of my friends have moved on and lived with not their parents. And it sucks that there's a stigma attached to living with your parents, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you're getting along and it's not a toxic relationship and you have your space and privacy. But of course, it's coronavirus. I feel like nobody really has privacy, and establishing boundaries is not something that a lot of us learn. It's something that I hope a lot of us are learning now during the quarantine, since there's really nowhere to go.